Hi, this is Senior Esteban.
This is Kyle.
And this is Steve. And you're listening to another proud production of the 4i Radio Network, also known as The Fern. For more great content, check out www.4iradio.com.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Kyle from Arcade Bros. If you're like me, you like a little joy in your life. We're proud to present that we are sponsored by America Joy Print Shop. If you need cut vinyl, store lettering, business printing, forms, card magnets, and anything else printing needs, America Joy is the one for you. When you contact America Joy, just tell them the Fern sent you. Hello and welcome to an all-new Long Box Cast. This is Kyle from Arcade Bros Mooney Studios, and I'm here with my very special and heroic sidekick, Steve Mooney.
Spider-Man, I say a bunch of ham. Can't swing right now, cause I gotta wait for this to go down. Oh, I don't want some cramps.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes,
So yeah, welcome to the Long Podcast.
Long Box Podcast is what it's called.
Yeah, Long Box Cast. It's the Long Box Cast. You can find us at www.longboxcast.com, part of the 4i Radio's network, The Fern. And for more information, just visit 4iradio.com. You can also find us eventually on iTunes, Stitcher, Zune Marketplace, BlackBerry Podcast, Miro Guide, Mixcloud, Double Twist, Spreaker, and you simply have to look for either our Long Box Cast, I gotta change that, or The Fern, and you can find our show eventually once we get it on there. So again, my name is Kyle. The reason this came about was Steve and I were talking about comics. We tend to talk about comics and all comic-related items. And I actually bought Steve a comic for the holiday and asked him about it, and we were talking about it, and then I said, hey, we should really do a podcast about this kind of crap. So then he was like, yeah, it's a good idea. You do all the work. And I was
Kyle came up with the idea, so I figured I wanted him to be the showrunner of this one, because I host way too many shows.
Yeah.
And this is something I know Kyle's actually really passionate about, is comics. Basically, we were going to do the very last segment on Socially Awkward of Steve's Comic Book Corner, but we didn't get around to it, so...
I added the notes to this.
Yeah, the notes basically is just, I guess they're going to take Arkham Origins and make it into a motion comic.
Oh, cool. Love it.
So that's about all I had.
That's all you got.
But so Kyle, I
guess
how are we doing this?
Because we're part of the Fern.
Yeah.
So we can start with that. We're basically part of the Fern Network, and the part of the part of the Fern Network, we have America Joy Print Shop. They are the official sponsor of the 4i Radio Network. They offer business cards, flyers, posters, banners, cut vinyl, car wraps, and more. And you can find out more about them by visiting americajoy.com. Just let them know that the Fern sent you. And also we have Raven Designs, who's also sponsoring the Fern Network, for illustration and designs that fit your personality. For samples and inquiries, visit ravencruise.com. And for all your delicious art needs. I got a couple shout-outs. We basically just have a new Twitter account. It's @LongBoxCast. And of course, we've only sent out a couple invites, and we've gotten a couple back. So we have a lot of people from the Fern Network. We have @PTWOR, which are part of the Australian. We have @Nova Charter. We have
I like Star Wars. But it's like the Star
Trek. We have Eric J. Dewey. We have Steve Pod. We have @the Sasquatch Net. We have @Trekkie B47. We have, of course, the @Arcade_Bros.
Fuck those guys.
@Calimbo79. We have @the Warp Core, and again we have @TMC Kikerd 12B42, who's now
he's following
officially
us. He's our stalker.
Us. He's our stalker.
Kyle just told me something. Big news actually today. Which is Saturday, December 28th, 2013. Basically, the legend,
the mythical creator of comics, basically the one who's really pushed the envelope and gotten people back into comics. Stan Lee has turned 91 today.
Doesn't look a day over 10.
No, I mean, he's looked exactly the same for the last 100 years. So.
He's not aging. He's found the Lazarus Pit, even though that's with DC, but...
Because he found it.
Yeah.
And then they stole it from him. And gave it to Ra's al Ghul.
So, Excelsior.
Excelsior. Alka-Celsior.
But yeah, so congratulations to you, Stan Lee. Speaking of Stan Lee, if you have not watched it, there's a great documentary on Netflix called Stan Lee Rules the World.
Did you even know about his daughter?
No.
Did you know about his other daughter?
No. There's all the stuff that you did not know about this man.
Yeah.
So.
And it was a great documentary. Like Lindsay and I watched it, and we thought it was very touching. Like, because I've seen the stuff he did with Kevin Smith on the Behind the Heroes, and he talks about like all the heroes he created. Then he does this like a Spider-Man segment, Monsters and Myths with Stan Lee, and it does a little bit of his wife, and it shows his house, and they talk about him and his relationship with like the Batman creator, Bob Kane.
Bob Kane. That's the kind of what I'm hoping that we can do with these podcasts. We can actually talk about some of the origins, some of the funny, quirky things about comics and stuff like that. Because like literally, like some of the old comics, especially with Stan Lee. He did take a lot of old comics and then recreate them as superheroes. Like the Human Torch was an old comic.
From like the 40s.
From like the 40s, he was able to take that character.
Like a robot or something?
Yeah, it was actually a robot. And which they did do a little bit of a kickback to that in, what was it, Captain America, where the armored guy came out with the flamethrowers, and that was supposed to be like...
kind of what he was.
Kind of like what the Human Torch was, which is also another... It was kind of like an Easter egg within an Easter egg, because then it was like he played the Human Torch, so...
Gotcha.
But yeah, that was kind of a cool thing. So yeah, Stan Lee actually did bring life to a lot of old comics and kind
Captain
of...
Captain America was dead and gone, and then he
brought him back with the Avengers.
Now, not only with Avengers, with the whole idea of like the cryogenesis and like having a disease and curing and all this stuff. Like he came up with all these concepts to revolutionize what they were, because they weren't Marvel Comics. They were a different comic company, National Comics.
Yes.
And then they became Marvel, and that kind of like that national brand had like Captain America. And so for them, when they relaunched everything, it was kind of a chance to go back on like, well, what are we known for? And they do like Detective Comics was actually what was under
DC's original.
It was actually just a comic series, and then they used that as their brand. So
yeah, it's actually that's what I liked about the whole like Stan Lee, and what I really liked about it is like he did think long and hard. Well, not really long and hard. Like he made some stuff up. Like he even said it
hard and long.
But like he said with the joke with like Fantastic Four, he's only they were hit by space rays. He's like, I don't know what space rays are. Then there was a gamma ray, but then he literally got to the X-Men. He was like, they're born that way. But everything worked, so it was really good. So you do have a bunch of whole new segments.
Basically what I was going to ask you, like, what are you reading this week? Like, what was I reading? I want to do eventually is get us to comic shops. We'll promote some of the comic shops that are out here, because unfortunately they are a dying breed. Well, I mean, like we had Atomic Comics, one of the biggest resellers in the Valley, went under just because they wouldn't pay their taxes. And for me, especially, it's become a lot harder to kind of find.
Yeah, like Samurai Comics, I think it was. They actually took over one of the Atomic Comic shops here in the Valley.
We have like Gotham City Comics. We have Ash Avenue Comics. Like, there's a few.
Yeah,
out there.
I would
like
say
to start going to them.
That's what I was saying. If things start working out with this, we could probably even for free comic book day, maybe do a live show somewhere.
Yeah, so I kind of want to make connections to those places. Just going in, seeing bargain bins. Like, hey, what are you guys reading this week? Kind of interview some of them, maybe get some of them in here. Comic artists, if there's local artists out there who want to come on the show, promote what you do. You got a web page, you got a web comic. I know there's probably a guy I'm going to have either Skype in, Carl White. He does one called the Legends of Myth. He does like this one about like where he's taken history and then he's putting like vampires or werewolves or like zombies in that like genre, so it kind of then adds into the appeal of like, oh, you're learning history, but then you're also learning about like these other creatures and stuff. So like things like that. I want to get people in there involved.
Packing peanuts.
And then we want to do, obviously, we love talking about comics just as much as we like talking about other things like video games, movies. And this kind of gives us a chance where we have all these great movies coming out. Have come out. We have all these cartoons coming out. You got video games and all these things that all tied together with this kind of popular culture that is comics. So
no, I do like this. I do like this because there are a lot of cartoon series based off of comics that did very well, such as.
And then, I don't know if you knew this. Like you kept asking me about Justice League, Teen Titans, like whatever.
Yeah.
Justice canceled.
Oh yeah, no.
And I was like, what?
I don't know what it is. For some reason, DC Nation on Cartoon Network has not been doing too well.
Or they think they weren't doing well because there's like a whole group of people.
No, I know. They did the same thing with Teen Titans though. Teen Titans came out and they did 3 seasons. Phenomenal show. I've never heard it.
You had Dead. You had all these people.
Yeah, you had Slade, who was played by Rob. The guy who played Hellboy.
Oh yeah,
Perlman. So, I mean, it's like you had a lot of voice cast behind it. You had a lot of fantastic people. I mean, the guy who played Beast Boy is now Michelangelo on the new Teenage Mutant Ninja, which also, what I like, is also started as a comic. We can talk about them in the near future with everybody. That's what I'm saying.
That in itself is like an entire, like, 2 episodes.
Oh, there's a whole bunch of stuff with how Ninja Turtles evolved from the comics to the cartoon show.
And just think about, like, if you have a conversation with somebody about Turtles, like, who's never heard Turtles, like, think how bizarre that conversation would go. But where everybody else who's from the 80s who knows it, you just know it. Like, you just know everything about it. There's nothing to even discuss. But, like, I was just thinking about that today, talking about, like, giant mutant turtles that eat pizza, live in the sewers, no kung fu, fight robots and ninjas, like, in the city, guy with a baseball, like, hockey mask.
Yeah.
You really just try to communicate that to somebody, and they'd just be like, who the fuck are you, and why are you in my
house? I was just wondering how their pitch went, for that comic. It's
exactly, how did you sell this? Like, obviously the artwork is...
But did you know about the tie-in with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Daredevil?
I did not.
Yeah, basically, it's supposed to be the same toxic waste that hit...
Son of the Ooze?
The Ooze that hit
him right
Daredevil blinded him, but then, I forget his name. I was like Ben Affleck.
Yeah, Ben Affleck in the face. What? Where did this happen? No wonder he became Batman.
Yeah, and then this was the callback. They actually said that was the same mutagen that actually went into the sewers and turned the turtles into that. So I thought that was actually kind of
way to go, Daredevil. So you should have seen that coming.
Oh, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff we can talk about, which is great because even like how I would even I would do like a 5 podcast arc of just
TMNT.
Batman. I was going to say the Batman animated series.
Literally, you could do a podcast dedicated to Batman, Superman. Each hero alone could have its own podcast, and that's kind of what I wanted to do here is mix it up. We were going to talk about all the comics.
And we didn't even talk about the upcoming movies this year and stuff like that.
Like, there's so many coming out. Like everyone's excited to see what happens with Ben Affleck as Batman. We
don't see that until 2015.
Phoenix as Lex Luthor.
You know what?
A lot of people are kind of still on the fence.
Matt and I talked about this on Socially Awkward when I brought it up one week, and I just said I just want to know whether I think he's just doing it for the money because he's an actor, like he's a really good actor and stuff like that. But I just to me, I do not see him as Lex Luthor, and I'm not really even trying to be like, oh, we can never play Lex Luthor. Like I literally think like they showed up at his door and was just like, here's a shit ton of money. Like I don't know if they just want a big name.
I think what it is you're trying to find like when people said Bryan Cranston, I think a lot of people just goes, oh, he's bald. Let's hire him, and he's evil.
Yeah,
I
know.
That was it. Like everyone jumped on the gun to that, and like if you really step back, I feel Bryan Cranston could do justice because I'm thinking more of like our generation of the Lex Luthor. The one in the 1970s and 60s, he was a mad scientist. He was about destroying the world. He wasn't a businessman. He didn't have an own Lex Corp. Like that didn't come around until like the late 80s, like when they finally like beefed up Superman to like more of a Arnold Schwarzenegger build. Like when they did that, that's when they changed Lex to be more of a businessman, similar to like Bruce Wayne. Like that's when they changed him, and that's what I liked about it. In the movie of Man of Steel. You got to see a lot of Lex Corp. So we're gonna get to see like more of the businessman aspect as opposed to like the mad scientist, because that's why I think like that's where the disconnect is. Yeah. People are still using like the Kevin Spacey, who was like the madman who went to prison, as opposed to like a bullsman.
Yeah.
So I'm actually excited. Like if they chose him, I could literally see him doing.
I'm trying to remember who was the guy who played him in the
the old
ones.
That was Jackman. What was his name? Hang on, let me pull it up.
That was a funny Lex Luthor in that one. But the Lex Luthor that I really recognize with is, and I think a lot of people recognize with, is the animated series one.
Which is voiced by the guy who was in...
I have no idea.
He's in SpongeBob SquarePants. He plays the crab.
Oh, he's Mr. Crab?
He's Mr. Crab.
I had no idea.
He's going to play the Goon if the Goon movie ever comes out.
You know what?
He was in Highlander. He was the big guy who was like fighting.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, like if you ever watch Highlander again, there was 2 guys. There was a guy who like they had to cut off their necks. He's the one who ends up killing Sean Connery. Like he's coming out.
Oh shit!
Yeah, he kills that guy. He's the one who's like,
Well, that was Sean Connery.
I'm trying to kill you. He has this like very imposing. Okay. And they actually were going to cast him as Superman. But then after he was given his performance, they said, you'd make a really good Lex Luthor, and he's like, okay, so like he's done all these.
He's well. That's the funny part. Like the guy who plays Lex Luthor in Smallville is the voice of Flash.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just like all these kind of cool things. But yeah, I mean, that's the kind of Lex Luthor I'm looking for, because that's the Lex Luthor who is a businessman, and he feels like like Superman, like in his mind, like he is a sociopath, you know, but in his mind he looks at
Gene Hackman.
That was it.
And he did good there too because he was still like kind of the mad scientist, real estate business. So
he had a lot of business.
Very more comedic, which I thought was really good.
Yeah, I mean, but then again, it's like that's what I'm saying. Like for the genre, you know, like everyone plays their character.
You want to take it on, like you want to own it. Like I feel Henry Cavill owned this version of Superman because it's all about like. I'm coming of age, like it's a new world, like we have 9/11, we've had all these things, so like to tell the old style about this guy who can do all these things is like it's kind of hard to tell that fantasy in a modern day, especially when we've had things of this, and our world probably would have reacted the way it did with militarized, you know, for their protection, putting him in handcuffs, like whatever to make us feel.
Yeah, I mean that's what I liked about that movie. It really did put Superman in the perspective of like, I mean when that happened. I mean if that happened, I mean yeah, because it's like what are you like? I mean this is a guy who could pretty much destroy the entire world.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, and it's all like, do we trust him? Do we not trust him? I mean that was like the weirdest part in the original Superman movie. It's like he first comes out when the helicopter's going down. He just kind of catches it and he's flying and he sets it down and everyone's just like, woo, yeah. But you know, I'd be like, what the fuck is that? I mean, it's like that's the same thing with. That's what I liked about the Spider-Man is like, you know, yeah, he's doing all this stuff, but then it's also like, but why is he doing it? You know, then the media's spinning it and everything that. So I mean, that's what I like about superheroes and stuff like that, and that's what, especially with Batman, it's all like, especially with Arkham Origins, the video game. It's like, you know, you have.
Especially Arkham Origins. Like, that was brilliant with the move that they did with, like, you're thinking one way, then it's a whole nother way. And
well, they had so many twists and turns to that.
Mindset of, like, that whole, who is this guy? Like, where does this come from?
I just like the fact with, you know, it's like you had the cops after you, had the, you know, you had the bad guys after you, you had all these kind of things after you because it's all like, okay, what is his intention? Why is he doing this?
Why is he in the city doing stuff? Why is he dressed the way it is? Where did this technology come from? You know? Even though it says Wayne Tech all over it, like why would who has this technology?
But yeah,
one thing I always got confused about because there's that scene where he creates that anti-venom because he gets poisoned, and that giant thing, crater thing, comes down in the middle of the game, and you use it to like antidote yourself. But then it's like it's just sitting there then, like for the remainder of the game, like cops are going to come to that scene and find this like metal contraption that came from some type of trajectory that has tech all over it that can be traceable. Like, then they like, I would have loved to see it explode or something like this, or fly back, just because it's like.
Well, you make a great point to that because they did talk about that actually in the comic book that you did give me.
Ah, yes. So yeah, character spotlight. We'll get to that, but what we'll talk about this week is what we're reading this week. So Steve got a present from me, which inspired basically this podcast, and then I'm reading the new Wonder Woman Blood.
Yeah, actually, which was one of the comics that I did want to pick up. I went on a binge because I wanted to give the new 52 a chance because I did hear a lot of good things about it, especially with the Aquaman book, the new Batman. I actually gave Superman a shot, and I really enjoyed the action comic Superman. I think I let you borrow that.
Yeah, that one was really good.
I also I got the two Catwoman ones as well, which was really good. And then I have a Green Lantern one, which I thought was pretty good as well, and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I wanted to pick up the Flash, and I also wanted to pick up Wonder Woman. I just didn't have the. I was like, I already spent so much money on this. So, let's break it down. So, Wonder Woman.
It's really good because it's by what's his name, Brian Azzarello. He's done quite a bit for DC and a few other comic novels out there. It's really cool because they're really taking the tale of Wonder Woman. Now, people who aren't too familiar with Wonder Woman, she is built out of clay. Like that was actually
I thought she was from Krypton.
No, she was built out of clay. Well, there was a joke with that too, basically where the Green Lantern, they send the guy who's like Insector or whatever, who gets blown to Earth and dies, like, and then he gives the ring to Hell.
Yeah, I call him Purple Blurple.
Well, he's supposed to go to Abin Sur. Abin Sur is supposed to be in the sector, so they send him, and he's like, "Oh, your first task is to monitor this weird activity on this planet called Krypton." So then it shows him go, and he comes back and goes, "I failed." It's like,
oh my god, that's great.
So, but yeah, this one was really cool because in the original tale of Wonder Woman, and what I really like about this one is like for young girls, like I always felt like Wonder Woman was kind of like she lost her place because a lot of people were like, "Oh, she's just the girl version of this," or she's just like not really getting a lot of respect.
Yes,
this version is very awesome. Basically, She used to be from Clay. She used to be from the Hipporelia, or whatever the
island.
Hippoltia. I always say
they're all Amazonians, right?
Yeah, they're all from Amazon. They're from, well, basically that's what they call themselves, but they're from an old Greek island that had a magical barrier which prevented them from...
If it ain't broke, it's Greek to me.
Well, it was basically, prevented them from going to other places and having people come to them.
Mm-hmm.
Basically kind of like cutting themselves off. So in this telling, it's kind of the same thing where they... have grown over the centuries, though. Like, their technology has grown, they have grown, like, things, they explain, like, where the other women come from, where the men come from, what happens. So it's actually pretty cool where, like, a lot of times when pirate ships are coming nearby or get too close, they would the Amazonians would go and ransack them, have their way with the men, and if they were birthed a girl, the girl would become part of the society, and if the boy was born, they would just kind of outcast him. So, but then what's cool is some of these characters or these women are part god, so now you have all these like half-breed men that are just out there, and so sometimes you have them coming back trying to reclaim what's rightfully theirs or whatever. So what's interesting about Wonder Woman is
basically they're half the man they used to be.
So in this retelling of Blood, which is cool because when I was like Blood, probably because of war, bloodshed, because the cover is cool because it shows her with like a sword decked in blood. She's got the newer outfit. It's not really like all real short shorts and stuff. It's more tailored to a warrior. Like she looks more.
Yeah, actually, that's the one thing I liked about the Injustice game was her like the other outfit she had, where she had like the sword and the shield and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah, she felt more warrior-like.
Yeah, because that's what I always felt like. Wonder Woman, like I understand, like she's changed throughout the ages and stuff like that. But yeah, to me, she's always been like a warrior. She's always been like a Greek warrior, you know, kind of.
And so what's cool about this story is they've made it where she's still from the island, her mother's still the queen, all these things, all these great things, but then it's dealing with like the gods like Hera. Now Hera's been known to like interfere with people and like even go and try and take out some of Zeus's unwanted children, like Hercules. She tried to kill Hercules because he had her, you know, like all these things. She's trying to always get rid of the evidence, so to speak. She's the abortionist. She goes around killing all the babies. So in this story, I'm not going to ruin it for anyone who hasn't read it because it's really good. They actually delve more into Wonder Woman, so she's no longer from clay. So she obviously had to come from somewhere, and they explain that. They also start explaining more of like the idea of like that Wonder Woman wouldn't have this like one outfit. Like she wouldn't be just like, oh, here's my outfit, like Superman. I have this one outfit. She's gonna actually, once they start developing it, and where I like where it's going is. In the original tale, she's stuck on the island, a plane crashes, a gentleman comes out from, like, America. She realizes who this guy is, like, oh, there's other people out there. Like, she's kind of has, like, the Ariel, a whole new world, you know, there's a whole other universe out there. I know, that's combining the two different ones.
Like,
but it's like...
Come on, Kyle, get the Disney princesses on track.
But that's what I mean, though. It's like, it's that tale of, like, oh, there's other things out there. I want to experience everything. I want to grow. I don't want to be stuck on this island forever. Obviously, she leaves, she gets shunned. She goes, she discovers the world. She discovers that the world there's a lot of chaos out there, but there's also a lot of worth saving, which is why she becomes the hero she does. And there's a whole tale with that whole character, and they kind of have a romance and things like that. And in some tellings, the guy dies, and some tellings, he lives, and they get married, blah, blah. So they're all over the place with, like, her character's storytelling. But what was really cool, and Scott Snyder talked about this on, and Morrison did too, on the Fat Man with Batman, he's helping write some of these, and he really liked the idea of, like, she comes to, like, America, comes to a place, and is like, well, I'm an attractive woman, I can wear these clothes, so why not? And so you're going to see her, like, in a nice outfit, like, stopping, catching cars, because to her, it's like, it shouldn't be like, oh, there's a uniform I have to wear when I fight heroes. It's going to be more good. She's got a more of a fashion sense, which is really going to be kind of cool because then it's like, oh yeah, because let's face it, like Superman doesn't have to wear that outfit. He chooses to wear it, obviously in the telling because it's like Kryptonian technology. People recognize him. Oh, there's a cape, there's a red cape, the Superman's cape. You know, it kind of helps with their marketing if you so kind of look at it that way, like their brand. But with Wonder Woman, I always felt that was kind of weird. Like, why is her outfit like that? Like, why didn't they make her like in a dress or an outfit? So they're starting to tie into that. So it's definitely a good read. Blood is awesome. Wonder Woman Blood by Brian Azzarello. It's out now. It came out back in like September-ish. So I mean, it's out. It's softcover, hardcover. Pick it up. Really worth it. Like, it's really good telling. Yeah, really changing it up.
That's what I've heard. I've heard it was, and that was the thing that was kind of like a little bit thrown when they decided, when they were talking about the Batman Superman movie, and they're like, we're going to throw Wonder Woman in here. And I'm like, to be honest with you, that's really like the only DC character that I would like to actually have her own movie.
Yeah.
Like, I really think they could do a good job with it, especially with the new retelling of it, with this whole... I mean, there's so much you can do with it,
there's 3 volumes out of this version, too. There's Blood, which is the first one, Guts, which is the second, and Iron, which is the third. And that one actually just came out, and it's 176 pages, the third one, so it's really big.
So it's just very weird. I'm like, it's great that they're throwing her in the movie, but I just also, I'm like, are you kind of doing the Spider-Man thing and just giving us way too many heroes instead of villains?
I think they're going to go the other route, where basically... What I think is going to happen, I'm hoping it goes this way, where it's going to be like, I'd love to see it like this. Like, the way I would end that movie is, okay, you have whatever. You have a conflict. Superman's destroyed a whole bunch of stuff. Bruce meets Lex. They're talking about rebuilding. It's also so Bruce can come down and kind of get some information on who the hell this guy was and just decimated this, try Metropolis, figure out what his intentions are. Maybe he figures out who Kent is, same way as like Lois did, or tries to interview her. Maybe he even like takes her and tortures her, like to get the information. Like we get that kind of a Batman who's willing to like do whatever to protect everyone. So then, of course, Superman goes rescue Lois. They fight. They learn about each other. Obviously, Lex has alternative motives. Big end, big monster, whatever creature, whatever they do. Lex goes crazy, nukes the world. They stop it together, and then at the end, I'd love to just see like them meeting at like the Batcave or something, and like a room opening, and then just having like everybody sitting there, like Wonder Woman sitting there, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, just have it open and be like, we need to talk about something. What? And then have the doors open and just be like the end. Because I know they want to do a Justice League movie, but they want to tell all these stories of all these characters, because I feel they could. I feel literally like we could go see Batman vs. Superman, and it could be a Justice League movie. And no one would be like shitting bricks or being like, "Oh, wait a minute,
that's what I've been saying.
I
mean, as much as everyone's bitching and complaining about this movie and how much a lot of things are going against it, like people are just like not on board with it. I'm like,
I'm totally on board.
I'm like, dude,
I was sold as soon as they showed that freaking logo.
I'm like, dude, I'm like, look at it this way. I'm like, they've been trying to get a Justice League off the ground for like the longest time. The problem is you've only had 2 movies of superheroes so far. That was Batman and Superman. You finally branched out and gave us a Green Lantern movie, but it flopped. And now it's like you have to retell this story. Hopefully they just go with I believe his name is John Stewart, is the Black Green Lantern.
Yeah, John, but it was like John.
I really would like to see that Green Lantern. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's like I like Hal Jordan, but I'm like, we don't have anybody that I can think off the top of my head that can play that wholesome kind of Green Lantern.
Well, then it was cool because then we're talking about like the rumor had it like Jason Momoa, who was in Conan the Barbarian. He was in Game of Thrones. He's kind of come out really as like a good actor, good movie sense. They were casting him in the movie, but no one said, well, what is he going to play? Like, who's he going to play? And like, I just looking at the photo they had of him, I was like, who could he play? And then it hit me. I was like, Lobo. Like he's got like kind of that persona and like the face and body style. Like, and if you've seen Conan the Barbarian, the new one that they did with Ron Perlman and stuff, really good performance. Like that's the Conan O'Brien. Conan Barbarian. That's the one I really liked. Like I thought they did a really good job with that version of Conan, which was also based on a comic book. But
we'll see what happens with.
I'm gonna wait and see. Just go to the movie, enjoy it. I'm like,
that's what I'm like. That's why I'm going with my what I've been doing. It's like I've stopped getting that expectations because it's like if you get that expectation, I mean, like so many people are already jumping on the case that potentially his name?
The movie might suck. Go and enjoy it.
Not even that. It was Paul Rudd.
Oh yeah.
Might be Ant-Man, which I'm like, all right. And a lot of people are like, yeah, but other people are like,
Ant-Man is this big. How's he gonna? Exactly.
And that's the entire Ant-Man movie.
That's the movie.
It's just Paul Rudd going,
ants are everywhere. He's talking to the ants. He's trying to communicate.
Adam Sandler is one of his ant friends.
Rob Schneider has ant 7.
Draw the line.
Yeah, ant number 7. When ant 7 gets a piece of a carrot.
Yeah, he becomes carrot ant.
Read it out. So yeah, what were you reading?
You gave me Batman, Death and the Family. This is the 3rd volume in the new 52 Batman thing, and this is when the Joker returns.
Yeah, just like shows up.
In the new one.
Missing for like a year.
He's been missing for a year, which is weird because I don't know if there's actually like a backstory to this because
there is.
Okay, because that's what I was really confused about, because I was just like, okay, basically he shows back up in Gotham, and he pretty much goes into the evidence locker, and he gets his face back.
Yes. What they touch base on about it, and there's a whole comic series I guess came out where basically there was a character, I believe his name was Dollmaker.
Dollmaker, yes.
He basically, like, there was a confrontation where he threatened to cut off the Joker's face, and Joker was like, "Do it!" Like, he's like, "I don't need it. Like, it's not who I am." So he allowed the Dollmaker to cut off his face, and that basically got preserved in the Arkham, in the Gotham PD
evidence locker,
and it was all like this whole story about Dollmaker. And then you can find that one too. It's out there.
Okay.
That was kind of like early on in like the New 52. Like, they were trying to introduce the Joker back, but they weren't sure how to do it. So instead, they told like this story, and then like that was it. Then the Joker disappeared, and then like that's where like that comment where he's like, "I've been waiting."
Yeah.
He knows he was going to come back, and he's been always kind of keeping up on like, looking for the virus, looking for the chemical compounds he uses, looking for everything, and nothing's shown up for like an entire year. And then he literally just shows up, does his thing, and then then he was gone again. And it was like, okay, what's going on? Like,
yeah. I mean, it's very well done. It's very moving. They have a lot. It's funny because they have like everybody in the Batman concept, pretty much. It's like Batgirl's there, you got Robin's there, Nightwing's there, you got Red Robin's there, you even got Red Hood is there. Pretty much every single Robin that Batman has ever worked with. It's even his son Damian is the new Robin in the New 52 and stuff like that. But yeah, it was very well done. This not to give if anybody hasn't read it, I don't want to spoil too much, but yes, the Joker returns. He has this elaborate plan. He has a lot of stuff that he's just going kind of crazy with,
really crazy. Like, it's almost like they said, like he's retelling all of his events.
Yeah, basically he's
like twisting him a little bit.
He's twisting him a little bit. Like, basically there's a part where Batman jumps out the window and he sees the Red Hood, which has actually been established since, I believe, the Killing Joke.
Yeah, that's kind of where
this is where his origin started. Basically, you don't really know who he was, but basically he was this kind of low-level guy, gets picked up to do this job to get some money because he obviously needed to pay off some loan sharks.
He had his loan sharks, his wife was pregnant.
Yeah, he had all this kind of stuff. So, and then basically what these guys would do, they would hire this patsy, basically, and they would put this, there was this villain out there called the Red Hood, and they would dress their lackey, this new guy they hired up, to be the Red Hood, so then when he took the fall, everyone would think, oh, this is the Red Hood, but then the Red Hood would still be out and about, be out large and stuff like that. So basically what ended up happening is Batman went to stop him, and the Joker tripped, and Batman, this is what I like about it, because it's like, you see how it happens, but then you see how he interpreted it.
Yeah, he's like, you pushed me in there. Or
so it's like, he falls in the vat, he becomes the Joker, basically, and everything about him is gone, basically, from his past.
Yeah.
And so, he retells kind of that. He has Harley involved. He actually gets
Which
a lot of...
so good. Like, I love that whole aspect of Harley where, like, you're thinking, oh my god, like, he's gone, like...
Oh yeah, that one. There's this one part with him when he's talking about cutting off her face, and then she's like, "No, just go ahead and do it." And then he just is like, "Haha, just kidding." Like, but how he just how the Joker delivers it, you're just like, "This is the Joker. This is the sick, twisted son of a bitch."
Yeah.
That we all know, and pretty much as bad as it sounds, all know and love. Like I don't know anybody who doesn't like the Joker.
Yeah, exactly.
And then so basically, Harley's involved with this. He even gets like the Penguin involved. He gets the Riddler involved. He gets Two-Face involved. Like, there's a bunch of, and this is what I love about it. Like, he delivers everything to them as like a proposition, and they're thinking, "Oh, this is going to be great," and then he ends up just fucking everybody over anyway. So it's just like, this is just how this man works. But basically, his plan is he then Batman's going out trying to retrace his steps, because Batman's going back, going, "Okay, this is where I first met him. This is where the second encounter. This is like he's had so many encounters with him, but he's trying to pinpoint the exact ones that were big, basically big moments.
Big moments.
And one of them was basically one where it was a blimp filled with gas of his nerve gas, basically, that would turn people into, like, his chuckles gas, basically. Gas. And Batman stopped and put it in the river, but then he's like, I came back, I was looking for him, I couldn't find him, stuff like that. He's like, I come back to the Batcave, and there's a Joker card laying on the thing the next morning when I come in, and everyone's like, "Oh, he got into the Batcave. He got into the Batcave." And Batman's like, "No, he didn't." Like he's trying to tell like people like, "No, you're not listening." He's like, "There's no way. None of us could even hold our breath that long, be under the bat boat for that long. Hold on with me going this fast and stuff like this." He's like, "We cannot even do this." He's like, and the Joker's like, not even as strong as we are.
Not trained or
he's not trained or anything like that, and like no one wants to believe him for that. So a big thing that happens is Alfred actually gets kidnapped, and that's pretty much what kind of starts everything. Everyone going, okay, well, does the Joker know who Batman is?
Right, like, does he know?
Does he know this? Why would he kill Alfred and stuff like that? And Bruce is trying to let people know. He's like, well, the only way he can think about it, he kidnaps Alfred to get to Batman because Batman has a thing with Wayne Tech.
Yeah, because they had that whole Wayne Incorporated, like they had the whole Batman Incorporated now as part of the DC universe.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, where basically Bruce Wayne has come out saying that he supports the Batman.
Yes.
And like all his people, so now there's like a Batman in London or like some type of like entity of Batman in all these different parts of the world, which to me is like, that's genius.
Yeah.
Now you can have a black Batman. Now you can have like all these different characters. You can female character, like you could, like that's what I loved about that move was like you can completely
do what you want with this, basically. But yeah, so all the silent stuff is building up. You're still trying to figure out, like, they give you all these things and stuff like that, and then just the climax is really well done. Especially like when he finally gets to Arkham, pretty much where it all started and stuff like that.
Believes it all started.
And then what I really like about it, I'm not trying to spoil anything, but a really cool thing I like about it is when he finally confronts the Joker, has him like pinned down, and he's all like the Joker's like, "Oh, you'll never understand me," and then Batman just finally says, he's like, "But I know your actual name. I know exactly who you are." And he's literally like holding the Joker,
about to whisper,
and the Joker could not even handle that, and literally like he electrocutes Batman
right in the face,
and then he just falls, and then you don't know what happens.
His face
comes off because he literally takes his face and just kind of Jimmy rigs it back onto his.
It's almost like with needles.
Yeah, needles and stuff like that. So and then at the end of it, what I really like about the twist, where everyone was like, well, did he know who Batman was? Did he know who Batman was? And Bruce actually finally tells her, but he goes, no, I knew he didn't know who I was, nor did he care who Batman was. He goes, I went to Arkham Asylum right after I caught the Joker.
As the guise of Bruce Wayne.
He goes, as Bruce Wayne, I went to go take a tour of Arkham Asylum. And he goes, I excused myself to get a drink of water from
whoever's like
the security guy or whatnot, and he goes, and I went into his cell and then made sure no one else saw me, walked into the cell and stuff like that, and I looked at the Joker and he just kind of stared back at me. He goes, I found your calling card, and he just had this blank stare of like he didn't care.
Yeah, like it was almost like he wasn't going to acknowledge it.
Yeah,
like he knew maybe like, oh, okay, so you're Batman.
You're Batman, but
he doesn't acknowledge Bruce Wayne. He only acknowledges.
He's only acknowledged Batman, and I'm just like, that's fucking genius. Yeah, and it's like that's the same thing. It's like
I love the drawings, like the artwork in that book. Like you could just see the expressions in their face, like when he's whispering to Joker, like his fear.
Yeah,
his like the totally like okay, like what, like could give a shit.
Yeah,
that you were there telling him about. Like I found your thing. Like that's what I loved about it was like. Just to be, and that's why I like he and Batman did that just to be sure he didn't know.
Yeah,
like, make sure, like, okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, well, that's
just want to make sure.
Well, that's the thing that I really like about it. I mean, that's like what I really enjoyed about Frank Miller's take on The Dark Knight Returns. You know, it's like Batman goes to retirement, all of his villains go away, and then as soon as Batman comes back, the Joker's like, "Oh, my life has meaning again. Yeah, like, my life has." You know, I have something, you know, and stuff like that. Like, that's all he ever cared about.
And that's what I liked about this book. It was very much like, about that, like, their relationship, like, they're destined to do this, you know, over and over and over.
Well, that's like the perfect thing with, especially with the Dark Knight Rises movie, you know, where it's like, well, you want to kill me? He's like, I don't want to kill you. It's like, these guys gave me a shit ton of money. It's like, without you, there's nothing. It's like, what do I do? Go off ripping mob bosses again and stuff? He's like, no. You know, it's like you change everything. It's like we're going to keep doing this for eons and eons. But yeah, I highly recommend Death in the Family. If you have not read the first two, which I still haven't read them, even though I have them. It's the I believe it's the Batman Volume 1 is the Cordis.
Yeah, is it the Court of Owls?
The Court of Owls.
The Night of Owls.
And then the Night of Owls.
And then they have a whole other genre, like Night of Owls Robin, Night of Owls this.
Yeah.
So, and then, of course, this one is the Death of the Family?
Death in the Family.
In the Family.
Which is actually funny because that was actually the original title for when Robin, what was it, Jason Todd actually was killed by the Joker.
And if I'll give everyone the prelude in case they missed it. So yeah, I guess I'm not sure exactly where it is in the series, but what they're saying is after being caught by the Batman, Joker is shortly transferred to Arkham Asylum, where he had already put plans into action into escaping. Inside, somehow, Dollmaker is able to enter Joker's cell, as the Clown Prince of Crime seems to have been expecting him. While inside, Dollmaker carefully cuts off the skin from Joker's face, being yet another transformation of the character. And then Joker, I guess, left his face in his cell and escaped, but left the face there kind of as a message as, like, I will be back someday to, like, reclaim it. So that's, like, where the face, like, that's where that came about. And then he's been absent for, like, all that time during the Court of Owls, all that stuff. Like, he was gone.
Yeah.
So, and then what's really cool is I was looking forward for you, actually, for Christmas, which is called Batman Year Zero.
Yeah, you were talking about
this. Because it's like, with the new 52 came out, they started telling Court of Owls, they started telling, like, all these really cool stories, but they didn't really do the origin again of Batman, and people were kind of like, well, that's weird, like, because you did in Batman.
Yeah, you did origin pretty much with everybody else.
But not Batman. So this time they did what's called Batman Year Zero, and this is actually kind of more like a Batman Begins, not so much of like how everyone knows the story, how it became Batman. This is more about him like trying out new technology. He's on a motorcycle with like sleeveless shirt, like with his bat hood, taking down mob bosses. It introduces the Red Hood again, and then what was cool is at the end of the run, like the last cover art for the thing, is just a guy falling with the Red Hood on, and underneath him is like a pit of acid. So like that's how they were going to start like Year Zero, was like, or like how it ends is with that. But it was all about the Red Hood, and the way they were leaving it up was like, okay, was it a lackey of his? Was it the Red Hood? Because the Red Hood, same thing, comes out of nowhere. No one knows him. He's really like clever, and like in the storyline it added this really cool thing to basically what was a lame character. Like if you ever go back to the original,
the Red Hood is a horrible.
He was a horrible character. He was like the Mephisto of like the Spider-Man culture, where he just had this giant like penis dome shaped hood. I was like, look at me, I'm the Red Hood, I'm a gambling, criminal mind, and it was just like, it was really bad. So like it's cool how they've taken these kind of like sissy nuances to characters and really like blown it up to something huge. So that's kind of the backstory. I'm not sure where you can find that one about the Dollmaker, but I know it's in one of those new versions. So that's what
but I know you did pick out a I guess character spotlight of the week.
Yeah, Steve brought up a character spotlight for our Arcade Bros, and I thought, that's a great idea. We have so many video game characters. So then I thought, well, why don't we do it for comic characters? I don't want to get into like the whole history or debating about different things and like, well, yeah, in this universe he's the, and then, like, I'm just gonna tell you what I read, like Wikipedia did, did some basic research. If you're a fan of this character, please write in, please leave comments, let us know like what you love about the character, what you hate. Like this is kind of what I want to do, is kind of spark the interest of people and be like, oh, I either didn't have any clue, and I'm interested, or like, oh, it sounds really lame or whatever. Like if you're a fan of the character, please, I'd love to hear from you guys, because I feel like that's just gonna add to the show. I'd rather that than us just sitting up here and me giving you like Superman was originated. Like no one wants that. You already know the characters, you know the history, and if you don't, I'll give you little snippets, but I don't want it to be this like verbatim according to like scripture,
Well, 1974.
Yeah, exactly. Like because it's just like, I mean, every character.
Yeah, everybody knows, but there are some characters that people are like, oh, I had no idea about this character,
of them,
or in this,
the full content. So the character I chose this week, and feel free, like if you have a character in mind, things like that, like we'll jump back and forth. But character that's kind of. He's an interesting character because, like, I always kind of thought of him as just like the rip-off to Mr. Fantastic.
Yes.
Like I was just like, oh, he's a Mr. Fantastic rip-off. Like they had Mr. Fantastic.
But to be fair, this character is more. To me, it's not only. It's to me they took Mr. Fantastic and almost Deadpool.
Yeah.
And put them together.
Because it was like, oh, wait a minute, he's kind of like a wisecracker, this and this, and so what I chose this week was a gentleman by the name of Plastic Man. He was created by artist and writer Jack Cole in the early August of 1941. He actually showed up in a comic series called Police Comics, and it was Police Comics #1 that he showed up. The character's name, which has and remains the same throughout the run, is Patrick L. O'Brien, and L is like E-E-L. O'Brien. He's obviously Irish. Basically, so I'll go over some of his powers, some of his weaknesses, and a little bit of his story, just so like people who are unfamiliar. And his story is like, literally, again, if I sat down and tried to pitch this character to Hollywood today, they'd be like, get the fuck out of this, But like when you read this in a comics aspect, this is a cool story. Yeah, it's really cool. So, but what I found out, okay, so his powers were like he has malleable physiology, so he can bend, stretch. He has density control, so he can become really hard, or really like soft and flexible. He has size alteration. We've seen him grow big, grow small. Shape shifting, agility, strength, obviously because of like with the flexing, you can like sling people. And like that. So he's all that stuff. Knock over microphones. He has invulnerability, and this is is what's really cool because I didn't know about this.
Mm-hmm.
Regeneration, which is cool. It's like, oh, so I guess like if like he was rubber and someone cut his arm, like he could reform that.
Oh, okay.
Which I was like, that's interesting. Like that's kind of a cool, power I never knew about. He has telepathic immunity because his brain is rubber.
Oh,
so no one can like really like
it just bounces.
Doesn't bounce off. He later became a master detective because he started during some of the runs. Like he was working with the FBI, the police. Like he became more of a detective. But in the earlier things, he's also a skilled thief because in the beginning he was actually a thief.
Yes.
And then of course he's got rubber organs, which makes fun because like if he got punched, he could just rubber band it. So weaknesses like he can be frozen like with like nitroglycerin, and this is what happened in I guess one series where he was frozen. They went back in time to like Atlantis. He ended up getting frozen and smashed. And then, like 3,000 years later into the future, like slowly but surely, the Justice League kind of found some of his pieces, kind of put them together, and then eventually he was able to reform.
Oh, okay.
But what was really crazy is in the comic series, he was alive that whole time.
Oh, wow.
So, like, even though he was apart and like scattered all over the ocean, like he was still conscious of everything that was going on. So he was just like for 3,000 years.
Oh, wow.
You're in the bottom of the ocean, like you just go nuts. And that's what was cool about it. Like he quit the Justice League, he kind of lost faith and stuff. And then what was cool about it is that I guess before they went back in time, he had a kid. Like he didn't know he had a kid. And like it was kind of more like, oh, I found you, you're my kid. And so then they introduced this other kid in like Teen Titans and stuff who had the abilities of like Plastic Man and stuff. So I was like, oh wow. So that's how they kind of kept him relevant. There's people who were really big fans of him were like Morrison, who ended up doing a lot of the animated series. We saw Plastic Man a lot in like Justice League and things like that. And I think a lot of us were kind of like, like what's the big deal? And like even now they've made him more comedic.
Yeah,
like I've seen a lot of shorts with him in it, and it's very like over the top, Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah, they've actually. Style. I think a couple of the shorts were actually done by the creator of Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah, because it's very like, over the top, like Maxwell, like just like, and it's very like kind of humor too. Where it's just like, and it makes you laugh. But I always never thought of him as like, well, is that who he is, or like what it is?
Yeah.
So yeah, they said he could be frozen and he could be melted too because of heat, plastic and stuff. But then again, because he has the regenerative ability, he's basically invulnerable. Like he cannot be killed because he's just made out of material. So basically the story was he was an orphan, lived on the street, became a safecracker. He used to do odd jobs with all these like henchmen and stuff. Like he was part of like a little racket. I guess they went to the Crawford Chemical Works, and that's where he was actually surprisingly he was actually shot by a night watchman who was just happened to be on duty. They shot him and his friends fled while they were trying to escape. And of course, like as you always do, you run into an unidentified chemical batch. He got that spilled on him. So what ended up happening was like he kind of stumbled out into the street and he saw his criminal allies just flee. Like, leave him, he's dead. Like, leave him. And they just like fled, like didn't even care about him. So he ended up just blacking out. And so this is where it's like, okay, wait a minute. Like, I cannot sell this to Hollywood. Yeah. Like right there I probably could. Like, I could sell it to Hollywood. But this is where it gets weird. So then it's like, and this guy wrote it. So this is where it's like, okay, this is pretty cool. He has ended up rescued by a monk. Like, a Buddhist monk who saves him.
Bulletproof monk.
Yeah, heals him up, puts him to bed. Like, he's in a temple of some sort. And I guess the police were able to trace, like, his, like, we know he went there. We saw the trail of blood or something. Like, they were able to come to the thing. And the monk ended up, like, lying for him. I guess the monk sensed something about him that he's actually a good person. And because the monk was able to say, oh, sorry, he's not here. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I've never seen this guy. Like, sorry. No idea. That he was able, because of that kindness, L kind of changes his mind and says, you know what, I'm done being a villain. I want to do some good. And that's like slowly when he starts realizing like, oh my god, I have these powers and abilities because of the chemicals. So that's where like in some tales he was working with the FBI, he's working with the city police force. He had one of the best names of a sidekick, and his sidekick character origin is even better. His sidekick's name was Woozy Winks.
Okay.
Early on he was like magically enchanted, so he could like not get hurt by it. And nature itself would protect him. If he was falling, like water would come up and like stop him, or he'd fall and like a wind would come by and carry him somewhere. And later on they ended up retelling the Woozy Winks story, where basically Woozy Winks was just like a mental patient who like gets treated, leaves, and all he wants to do is go back to his padded cell and get a straitjacket. Like that's where he was comfortable. Like being out in the world, it's just too much for him. So he meets up with what he wanted to be called was Elastic Man, and so I guess the reporter at the time misquoted him, so he became Plastic Man, but he actually was going to be known as Elastic Man. So then there's like this whole relationship within him and Woozy Winks, and in the earlier comics, like it's very like funny. Like, it is very, like, campy, and, like, even, like, the Woozy Wanks kind of reminds me of the guy from Popeye, I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. Very much the same, it's very much the same art style, very much that kind of style. What was cool about it, though, is he, in the earlier days, would change his face. So when he was the hero, his face literally changed. So he didn't look the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he would literally like morph his face into look more heroic and you know. Whereas when he was in like his disguise, he would disguise himself as that criminal that he looked like, because then he could still keep those connections. Like, oh, you guys want to do a bank job? And they'd be like, yeah, we're gonna do a bank job here. He'd be like, great. And then he would show up as the hero and stop them and like help the police out. So he would keep his underworld like kind of connections that way. Which I was like, that's actually kind of clever.
That's actually that is very clever.
He's had a shit ton of villains. Like, I'm talking, like, I looked at the Wikipedia page, and there are ones I've never even heard of. But the list is, like, from A to Z, there's at least, like, 160, like, different villains this guy has had in, like, the DC universe. And they've all kind of been borrowed and stuff, like Copperhead. Like, all these characters have all come and gone into different things. So he never really had, like, a true, like, this is my villain, like, this character. He's just kind of had that macabre of, like, all different kinds of villains. And, of course, early on in the 40s, it was always dealing with gangsters and things like that. So... But, yeah, I mean, his character storyline is pretty nutso.
Now, do we have a new Plastic Man for the new 52s?
You know, I didn't really see a new Plastic Man, but I know they have a new Justice League.
Okay.
So I wonder if they're just going to bring back a lot of the characters that way. And I know with the popularity of, like, Arrow and a lot of these other, like, B shows, they're going to start introducing a lot of those B characters in that. Like, they introduced Black Canary, Arrow. They're going to introduce Zatanna, that kind of stuff.
See, that's the thing. Like, that's like exactly what I said with the Injustice video game. I'm like, they gave us a couple of characters that were like, okay, but I really would have been like, Plastic Man would have been a fun character to play as. I mean, you have so many moves, so many things you can do with the, you know, all that. Well,
that whole universe, like literally, I should still be today hearing about new DC characters you can unlock. Like, I would love to sit here and this one just came out.
But they stopped that. They literally, the last two ones, which I would have to purchase, were not part of the combo thing, is Martian Manhunter and Zatanna. And it's like, I'd rather you gave me Scorpion to be one of the ones that I buy.
I have to buy, because
I rather would have had Martian Manhunter to play. I mean, like, literally the only one I liked in that whole thing was Lobo.
Yeah.
I thought Lobo was a good character. I'm like, Batgirl was fun, but then it was just kind of like, it's exactly like Batman, you know? I mean, at least Nightwing had his own kind of, moves and different combos and stuff like that, but literally Batgirl was just the feminine version of Batman, you know? So it was just like, but yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, I always talk about Plastic Man. I always thought it was a very unique, funny character, but yeah, that to me, I mean, with our luck, as much movies that we would want to get made for some sort of reason, they would probably make a Plastic Man movie.
They could do it justice. I mean, like, think about it, graphically wise, like, character wise, like, sounds like a fun
character. A really good character. I would love to. We're never going to see in a motion picture, I guarantee it. I think it would be actually really good as a TV series. Is Face.
Yeah, Face was a good one too. Yeah, because he was shortly in the
Justice. He was in the Justice.
Yeah, very briefly. He was only like 1 or 2 episodes, but it was one of those like, oh my god, this guy's awesome.
Yeah, like he's a very great detective. You know, he basically has a blank face, like that's his mask or whatnot. It's basically to me, it's like an updated version of Rorschach.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I wouldn't be surprised if that's the reincarnation of Rorschach.
Yeah, which was funny because in Justice League, Rorschach was in there because the guys go back in time, and then like you got to meet like Rorschach, and I forget, like maybe the comedian was in one episode. So that was cool. It's kind of a throwback. And that's what's really funny about that is like the Watchmen was like I guess they must have taken over like the British a newspaper or company, comic company, and those were actually characters they had, like the Dr. Manhattan. All these things were like these kind of B like British characters you never heard of.
Yeah,
you know, they were completely different than what they did with Alan Moore and they did with the characters. So I thought it was cool again, like. Let's take something that's already been made, let's tweak it, let's change it, and now everyone knows, Watchmen,
Watchmen's such a good one. So you have the weeklies.
Yeah, weeklies was cool. I found this company, they're called comiclist.com. Obviously, again, like, there's so many people out there telling us what's coming out. I don't want to sit here and do all the work. I don't want to be there going to all the books. What books do you have coming out there?
Well, actually, the cool part is there are some comic book shops and also online comics that you could literally set up your basically long box.
Oh, nice.
So so you could literally go into you basically have a subscription with these comic book shops and or online, especially with the digital comics nowadays, where you just get it sent right to your email if you subscribe for the year. And you literally would go there, and you would go in, and they'd be like, "Okay, here's the books you signed up for," and you leave the store because they would just put them aside for you because you pay that fee every month or whatnot.
Sweet.
So,
and that's what's cool about it. But then again, I don't want to be the guy to report that because we don't need to. There's so many.
Oh yeah, no, fuck you, kids. Do your own work.
Well, I mean, literally, I googled it, so there was 30 comic companies that came up that told me what was coming out. And after perusing through most of them, what I liked about comiclist.com is they give you not only the comics that are coming out, the cost of them coming out, the variants that are coming out, but when you click on the comic themselves, it sends you to them. So if you're like, oh, what is this book? You can click and it gives you all the information. So I thought, very nicely done. I'm definitely going to give them some support because they were very oh, cool, awesome to site to use, easy to use. They talk about digital version, click here. They have all that. And again, I agree. I'd love to do local. So again, this is your chance. If you're a local comic shop, we do a thing called weeklies. You want just to say give us what comes out, give us a couple throwbacks, give us some bargains, let us know and we'll give you a shout out and you can use this spot. So for this week I'm doing them because they're who I use to get some research. So how it starts down
again, kids, go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself. I know, but yeah, so if you're a comic company or so definitely, comic book store in the valley, just let us know.
Yeah.
Just get in touch with us. Yeah, we'll give you a contact. It's longboxcast@gmail.com. Send us an email letting us know, hey, I'm a comic shop. Invite us down. We'll come in, peruse, buy some stuff, and then go from there.
Yeah.
So basically, these are the comic companies. These are the comics that they're selling, and then we'll just go through real quick to coming out. This list is from December 24th, and I know with the holiday coming up, I'm not sure if a lot of comic companies are releasing titles, just because, the Tuesday, Wednesday, which usually comics come out, is right at the new year, so they might be waiting a week.
Yes.
Sometimes they do that, they bump it back or up. So, but as of December 24th, we have Boom Studios is coming out with a comic called Deceivers. Number 1, it's 1 of 6. They also have the Fairy Quest Volume 1, and the book is called Outlaws.
Okay.
Another publisher called Chronicle Books has Art of Frozen. We have Cinefex, which is Cinefex number 136. I guess it's self-published. They have their own book.
Okay.
We have Comic Shop News also has a book coming out, number 1384. We have Dark Horse Comics, of course, everyone knows them. They had Conan Volume 14, The Death, and it's another volume that they have. They also have a Star Wars number 1 of 8. Looks like it's by Mike Mayhow, and it's a Golden Signature edition. Star Wars Omnibus Knights of the Old Republic Volume 2 is also out for Dark Horse. DC's got Forever Evil number 4 of 7. So obviously if you're familiar with the series, please again, fill us in what you like about the series, what you don't. We're up to Justice League number 26. This is New 52. We have Dennis Druck Publishing. They have Scary Monsters Magazine number 90. I think you've seen those. If you go in, they're kind of Hot Topic and stuff too. They sell those kind of publications. Dynamite Entertainment has quite a bit. They have a Battlestar Galactica number 4, Black Cat number 6,
Black Bat or Black Cat?
Oh, I'm sorry, Black Bat number 6, Lords of Mars number 3 of 6. We have Mark Waid's The Green Hornet number 6.
Oh, very nice.
We have Miss Fury number 6. We have a comic called Owl number 4. Red Sonja number 2, and also a Red Sonja number 4, which is weird. They're variant covers, so I'm not sure if maybe they've already come out with 1, 2, 3, 4, and now they're releasing variant covers by different artists.
Oh, they could be, yeah.
Obviously, the Red Sonja character is very popular, and a lot of people like to draw her differently, so I wouldn't surprise me. We have a Robotech Voltron number 1 of 5.
Finally.
I know. Shadow, Green Hornet, Dark Knights number 4. We have a Vampirella number 35. Warlords of Mars number 28. IDW's come back, which I remember them.
Yeah, IDW. They used to do the Ninja Turtles, I believe. I think they're doing. Aren't they doing Transformers and GI Joe now?
Exactly. Yeah, that was the whole point. It was right when I started getting back into comics again, IDW blew up, and they were doing Transformers, GI Joe, He-Man. They had all these things coming out, but then they kind of went away again.
Yeah.
And I was like, what happened? But then they came back and they had all these other ones. They have Doctor Who special number 2013 number 1. So I guess they're starting to get into Doctor Who.
Yeah, there a lot of things now are jumping into comics. Star Trek, I think, is having a new comic series start next year. Actually.
I believe so. Yeah. We have Image Comics. We have Jupiter's Legacy. coming out. We have Pretty Deadly #1. And then we have, I want to bring this up too because Todd McFarlane, I want to follow him, and he had a post saying, I guess, like, how do you kill God? ? And then, like, I guess in the Spawn saga, Spawn has either risen to heaven and he either is going to challenge God, like, or something. Like, there's something along the lines of something like that, or God's after him for some reason. So, like, they've really taken that arc to a point where I'm like, oh my god, I have no clue what they're doing anymore. So that's like a big book that's going to be coming out probably for the next year, like really talking about.
Yeah, the only bad part is all of his tweets were just people going like, "You make a game called Kingdoms of Alamar." And it was like, oh,
I have baseballs. That's what all he tweets about. Baseballs. All the baseballs. So then, of course, can't forget about the big guys. Marvel's Comics. They have Amazing Spider-Man #700, and this one is actually with Stan Lee and John Romita Sr.
Ooh.
Back to basics doing their thing. So that's got to be that's definitely one to pick up. It looks really good. Art style looks awesome.
Okay.
It looks really cool.
I would probably pick that one up, yeah.
Definitely start that one. Avengers #24 they got. We got a Long Shot Saves the Marvel Universe #1. Origin 2 #1 of 5, and an X-Men #1, and that's back with a Brian Wood from the Silver Signature Edition.
Oh, okay.
We have a segment we call Bargain Bin, which again, like, this will be up for you comic shops. Steve and I will either start showing up to places, shopping, seeing what we like, don't like.
Things, whatever.
Whatever. We figure you have a bargain bin. We want to go through and kind of see what we find. Try something new. Like, obviously, Steve and I have our characters we like, comics we like, but we're always looking for something new, and maybe we'll go into a bargain bin and be like, oh my god, like a manga, whatever. Find something, read it. So this segment is going to be for that eventually when we have it. Unfortunately for you, though, this also means it's the good and bad. So if Steve and I come to your shop and you treat us like dicks, we're going to talk about it on the podcast. We're going to tell people, hey, we went to this place. These people were dicks to us. So be on your best behavior.
I will say this. We back in the day, I went to Atomic Comics when they were still in business, and my ex-fiance who I was with, she wanted to get into Spawn. So I don't know about you, but usually if you want to get into something, you would talk to them and be like, do you have any back issues? Do you have any of the volumes or something I can catch up with?
People obviously trying to make a sale.
And they want to make a sale. This guy decided to tell her the entire backstory of Spawn, everything that has happened to him up until the new comic. As soon as he got done with that, she's like, well, what's the point of buying one now? You just kind of ruined everything for me.
Told me.
I understand you want to sell something.
Or you're passionate about
it, but you really, if you want to make the sale, you could just be like, oh, Spawn's a great character. He's created by Todd McFarlane. We do have the Volume 1 book. If you didn't have it in the stories, like, we can order it for you, something like that, But I do hate, I have been to certain places.
And it's like, spoilers!
Well, it's not even that, but it's like you do go into places and you do expect a little,
hey, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing? And stuff like that. But I don't know where people are getting off these days. Is like, do you want to make a sale or do you not want to make a sale and stuff like that? But I
will give them credit though, because I've always was impressed by Atomic Comics, like, customer service. Like, sometimes I go in there, some comic shops, and you don't hear nothing. Like, you're just like, hi, like, I'm saying hi to you. Like, you don't even acknowledge that I'm here. But, like, I always felt like Atomic, especially down by the mall, was very big into, hey, how you doing? What's going on? Like, when you bring up stuff, like, they were familiar with it, or at least knew enough to talk a little bit about it. And I do feel, though, that does suck. Like, that, I mean,
I would, there's like Spider, like, someone's like, I want to get into Spider-Man, it's a good dropping on point. I would recommend Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 1. That's
more up to date.
It's more up to date. You get the whole premise. You get a backstory and stuff like that. The thing I will have to say with the Atomic Comics, what I went into now, I have the Civil War poster in my apartment, which is I love.
That was a great saga.
It's a great saga, and I love the artwork. People see that and they're just like, "Oh my god!" But I wanted to get one for a buddy of mine who read Civil War. He was literally getting into comics at that time. He really liked Captain America and stuff like that. So his graduation from high school, I was trying to find that poster, and no one had it. And literally, I went into Atomic Comics. I'm like, "Do you happen to have the Civil War poster?" The guy's like, "I don't." He's like, "Actually, I have one at my house." He's like, "I'm not hanging it up. I haven't done anything with it." He's like, "If you want, come back tomorrow, and I'll just give it to you for free."
Yeah, and
I was like, "What?" And I was able to get it for free. Yeah, I had a little bit of dings on the side, where you put it up, but then I literally just bought a frame for it. Yeah. So literally I paid $10 for the frame, put it in a nice frame, and then gave it, and I was like, that was fantastic and stuff like that. So, it's all about, like, I'm just saying, like, and I'm saying this for everything. I'm not just trying to harp on any comic book shops or anything like that, but we've realized that customer service everywhere has really gone downhill. Like,
big time.
I don't know where people are getting off. I'm starting to believe that it takes more paperwork and time and effort to fire people. That's why people just feel like, well, I'm going to act the way I want.
And it'll take you forever to
fire me. It'll take you forever to fire me.
And then when you fire me, I'll just go get another job.
Yeah, it's like people just don't care anymore. So, but yeah, I do like that idea where if we start going to comic, actually, a lot of places where I've been picking up a lot of my comics, because I just get the volumes, is at Barnes & Noble.
Unfortunately, yeah, like that's where I had a result this holiday was I went to Barnes & Noble because I had no clue what good comic shops are out there. So definitely, like, if you're a comic owner, you know a good shop, spill the beans, share the wealth, because I'd love to come down and start visiting some of these places. I know of a few that I found, like Avenue, things like that. I'm
also, like we said, if you have any events going on, you want us to host, we do have our own equipment. We've done live shows at GameStops for the Arcade Bros, so hit us up. So we don't have any picks this week for the local bin.
Not for the bargain bin, but that's definitely a segment we'd love to do.
Yep.
So definitely let us know.
Bargain bin. We didn't have any because the first show.
Short show. And then, of course, now we have another segment I thought of, which is called Sidekicks Corner. So definitely
Jimmy G. Willikers.
Exactly.
Kyle, man.
Whoa,
holy hedgehog on a hot dog.
Oh, Batman. So what we have is like basically a Sidekicks Corner is more about something we want to talk about once a week, once a month. We're not sure yet how we're doing.
Yeah, I don't know how you want your shows to be set up. I told Eric it might just be weekly.
Yeah, it might be something. Great comics for kids this week. One of the newest ones that came out this week is called Batman 66.
You are not kidding, old chum.
Oh, yeah. And actually, it came out in this month. So it's actually this little blurb I learned about it was, while your kids surely won't appreciate the camp or wall climbing gags that made the 60s comic or Batman classic, they'll bound to appreciate the good BAM or Kapow, the homage to the dynamic duo of Adam West and Burt Ward, pits Batman against yesteryear incarnations of fiends like the Joker, the Riddler, the Penguin. But perhaps the best part of this series, which releases weekly on digital platforms, so if you have a tablet or some sort like that, is how well it harnesses the binary medium to imbue a sense of motion and time with each page turn. Rather than viewing one page at a time or jumping from static panel to static panel, the comic comes to life by revealing motion lines or speech bubbles in an order they've spoken. Holy technological advancements, Batman.
You are correct, old chum. Now, quickly to the hot dog stand, because I need nourishment.
So definitely, check that one out.
Yeah, you were talking about this, and actually this is something I know, as much as Dad probably doesn't like technology, like tablets and stuff like that, it would be the only reason to get a tablet for him, just for that.
For these kind of things. Well, what I love about it, too, is, like, there are so many really good comics out there for kids, and there's something I love Stan Lee said, is, like, how a comic is somebody's first comic. So it doesn't matter if it's like version 136 or something. Like, you should be able to open that, read a little bit about it, and jump in. Like, it shouldn't have to be this whole, like, well, you haven't been following it for the last 60 years, so I can't help you.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Someone posted this on Facebook. I guess some girl was like, oh, I started reading all these Batmans, and a lot of people are giving her shit for it and stuff like that. And then someone just posted, like, look, there's like 700 different copies of Batman out there, and it's like, I guarantee you haven't read them all either, so shut the fuck up. And it's true.
Yeah.
There's so many Batman comics that I have yet to read, and there's some that I just discovered, like, fuck, I didn't even know Kevin Smith did one.
Oh, yeah.
And I read that one, and then they're working on the next one, the Wiring Gyro is supposed to be the next one, but the Cacophony, I read that. It's actually drawn by the guy on Comic Book Man, Walter.
Yeah.
And I really like his artwork and stuff, and it's a really good story. It actually brings this character called Onomatopoeia.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting.
It's a really cool-looking character.
Yeah, it's a really cool-looking character. It's very interesting, and it's very funny, and it's like it's got some really good dialogues in it, and I absolutely love the comics. I'm sitting there going, like, when's the next one coming out? But yeah, there's so many things that you don't realize until you discover it, and then it's like, to me, it's like anything. Don't be a dick.
Crap. Yeah, like exactly.
I'm like, instead of being
rule of laws, don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick and share it with people.
Yeah,
it's like if you found something that you were passionate about, share it with someone.
Yeah, the two rules I live by is the Will Wheaton, don't be a dick, and then of course the Tim Daly is like, be a little less douche.
Yeah,
because I love those two rules because it makes perfect sense. Like, if you are into something and someone's just getting into it, don't be a dick. Like, just follow those two rules.
Yeah,
be a little less douchey about it when they're asking questions or not understanding, and hopefully someday, like, I mean, there's I had a kid in line one time talking about Skylanders.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm familiar with it just because I've known people who have kids.
Kyle, in your house.
And yes, I own every single one.
Yeah, I know.
Don't tell anyone. So I was like, collected.
I got it signed by me.
I don't have any of them.
What?
Luckily, but then again, like I understand that mindset of like, oh, this is cool. I'm like, I heard him just going on about what this character can do, and he's hoping to do in the game, and like, he said like he needed a really big character for this thing. He has to carry something to this other part to get this other character across, and like just hearing how passionate he was about it, and like, yeah, if I wanted to be a dick, I'd be like, they're not real. Or something stupid, and it'd been like, that was horrible. Like I ruined this kid's like experience.
Yeah, it's like
let people enjoy. So this example is like the Psychic Corner is for maybe your older listener, kids maybe want to get into it, not sure well, we're going to give you a couple of comics here and there that are coming out that are like tailored for kids. Like one that's coming up that I can't wait to talk about is going to be called Batman Little Gotham.
Oh,
and it literally shows like the picture is a pirate ship.
Mm-hmm.
There's Harley Quinn as a kid, Joker as a kid with like a green beard because he's like captain of the ship, and then like a kid version of Batman, Robin, like it looks awesome. Like I'm just like, this looks so cool.
That's funny.
Like it looks like really cool. So it'll be interesting to see like some of those kind of books, and they're obviously tailor made to those kind of reading levels and those markets and stuff. But I mean, hell, it's a good way to get people into it.
Yeah, it's like I just like that's what I'm saying. It's like if someone and it's true. I've actually turned some people onto comics and stuff like that, and they were just like
just turn them on by showing them your comics.
I don't know if that's happened, but I mean, it's like you talk about it and they're like, okay, and then they ask you, well, what do you recommend? Like I understand that if they ask you for a recommendation. I mean, I got a bunch of different Batmans. And a lot of my really go-to Batman was the Killing Joke, but now I'm thinking like I might be like read Death in the Family. Like now I thought that was fantastic, and it's like there's so many
like the art styles.
Yeah, the art style's phenomenal. It's by the guy who used to draw for Spawn.
Oh yeah.
Which he's been doing. He's been doing the Batman actually since the New 52 started. So, but yeah, it's like these are things that I'm just like. It's like instead of being that, oh, you don't know what Watchmen is. Like I literally, my ex, I was like, I let her borrow. She went to Canada. I was like, read Watchmen. Let me know how you feel about it, and then we watched the movie, and stuff like that. So, and she absolutely loved it. And it's just like there's all these different things. Like even the Catwoman comics. Like I recommend those to people, and I even told people, I'm like, Catwoman gets the crap beat out of her. Like I'm not saying like in a bad way, but I'm like they really put her through the ringer.
Oh yeah.
And it really makes you go like, okay, this bitch is tough, and she's a good character. Like, I mean, it's like, she was a good character. Like, I mean, to me, a really good dynamic was the Hush series with her and Batman. So it's like, I mean, there's so many good comics out there that it's like, I hate people with like, you have no idea that Voltron is actually Ultron, and his lions fly off of beams. So I'm like, I think we're gonna have to do hashtag be a less
douche and don't be a dick.
And don't be a dick.
Well, our hashtag I actually came up with is called Staff Picks of this week, and obviously we don't have any because we haven't gotten a shop yet. We just read those ones we did, so I kind of like I didn't really have like a.
But you do. It looks like you do have some upcoming ones.
Well, those upcomings are going to be for our next shows.
Oh, okay.
Those are also part of the. I just want to put them in there because it's from the Sidekicks corner.
Oh yeah.
And there's some really good ones here that are going to be for like, especially for little kids. Even Plants vs Zombies coming to a comic.
Yeah, well,
should be pretty.
Anything you can market, pretty much. I mean.
Yeah. So again,
Sonic jumped to comics.
Oh yeah. A lot of Mega Man's coming too.
Yep.
Coming back.
Spoiler. If the show doesn't get canceled.
Yes, staff picks. We're going to do that eventually. We're going to start hashtagging that and letting people know like what we're reading, what we're picking up. Same thing. Join in on the conversation. Let us know what you're reading, what you enjoy. Obviously, I mean, like we've had when I go to Comic-Con now, it's insane because there's people who are into Doctor Who, into Star Wars, Star Trek, into films, into comics, into artists, into writers, into all different kind of dynamics of Comic-Con. Even the Quentin Tarantino you guys did. Popular culture has kind of, over the years, been like an ocean that has come together. Mm-hmm. Like to me, it's kind of like when the hot and cold water comes together, it kind of makes steam, it kind of melds together and just creates this like chaos. And that's what I kind of feel popular culture has come in the days, because you have people who are like, all I do is play video games, but eventually those video games will lead them into one of these other areas.
Yeah, other mediums.
Or I just watch movies, or I just read comics or novels.
I mean, hence,
and it all comes in, like it all crashes in together.
A perfect analogy for that is Legos. Legos came out a long time ago, very simple, and now they have Legos everything.
Oh, yeah.
You have Legos Marvels, you have Lego DC, you have Lego Hobbit, you have Lego,
So you don't be Lego Doctor Who.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it back. I mean, heck, they say
Lego Halo.
They have Lego Halo. Heck, they have freaking Lego, what is it,
They have Call of Duty Lego. They have Lego architecture now. So people who are like in architecture, you can do that. And all kinds of Lego. What else?
Lego Back to the Future.
Back to the Future, yeah.
So it's like, I mean...
It's grown. So definitely, yeah, the staff picks is going to be something where maybe we'll go to a shop, see something that I haven't read before, pick it up, read it, give a review. You know, that's kind of what the staff picks. Maybe recommendation, something like that. So same.
Recommendation. I give it a name.
Hashtag staff picks. Use it for us. And again, you can find us at Long Boxcast.
I think, yeah, that sounds good.
Sounds good to me. How's it sounding to you? Sound good?
Yeah, this is, hey, it's your show, bro.
So yeah, basically, yeah, that's our show for this week. Hashtag everything banana.
Where can they find us?
Well, you can find both Steve and I at Longboxcast. I'm going to give you the password and stuff later. So
I think you already did. I just have to
if
go
not, yeah,
email.
you can add it. I have it on my phone and stuff.
It's
hashtag. Then you have also you can visit us on our website at longboxcast.com. It's a blog, so you can obviously leave comments, things like that. Let us know. Again, we're part of the Fern Network. We're going to be their little comic junkies and obviously have people on. It's going to grow and grow and grow, and it's going to be awesome. And it basically came from Steve and I having, like, I'd say no more than like a 20-second conversation on chat where I was like, I'm in podcast, and you were like, yeah. So I was like, good, get to work. And I was like, oh, good. Like, that was it. Like, yeah, that was it. Like, that's where this came from.
I mean, like, sit down, talk with your friends. I don't have any friends. That's why I'm my brother.
Yeah, exactly. We're all friends here.
No.
Except for that guy over there. Combination Bill Cosby and
you see, I'm so walking the thing, and I go, Rudy! Oh, man, I love good dad.
So again, remember you can find us on the Fern. You can find us on all those channels. And just want to say,
do you have a closer yet? Or
not yet. Closer right now. Just thanks for listening. I'll come up with one probably like Excelsior.
Yeah, I mean whatever you want to come up with.
We can do Enough Said. That's a famous Stan Lee one. Is Enough Said.
Enough said.
Enough said. Everyone.
Or Steve and Kyle will be back in Long Box Podcast.
Oh, that'd be
too. You know.
Oh, I got it. We're gonna record it later. We'll do like will Steve and Kyle make it out of that fiery pitch? Will they figure out what the hell a fiery pit is? Well, we'll do something like that for the next one.
Will Kyle make his sandwich on time? Will Steve maybe eat his sandwich before Kyle does? Will they have ruffles with those sandwiches? Don't take that dress.
Get out of here.
Yeah, we can do that. I like that.
Okay. Well, thanks, guys, for listening. Tune in next time. This has been another fine production from the Four-Eyed Radio Network. To listen to all our shows, please visit foureyedradio.com.